Alright, you guys, welcome back to Trippy Speaks UFC. We are the champions of the MMA content creation world. The rest of the world is just contenders. Okay, so I want to talk about this Sean O'Malley versus Merab matchup. A lot of people on the internet, or at least in the MMA community, have been giving their thoughts and opinions on this fight. And what I've learned about a lot of people's opinions is that they think that this fight is not going to be very close for either fighter. So, depending on the way they win, a lot of people think that it's going to be a lopsided victory to whoever it goes to. Whether that's Sean O'Malley knocking out Merab Dvalishvili in the first round, or Merab taking down Sean O'Malley and beating him up to a decision. The first thing I have to say about that is that they're not wrong, but however, I believe it's more complex than that, and this fight needs a more in-depth breakdown of it. So what I really want to touch on first is Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley has all the momentum coming into this fight. Merab's been on a run too, but Sean, man, he's the champion right now. We just seen what he just did to Chito Vera. Chito Vera being the toughest guy on the planet, by the way. And we also seen what he did to Aljo in the first round. Or in the second round, sorry. So Sean O'Malley has all the confidence coming into this, and rightfully so. He's earned it. Sean O'Malley went to being completely overrated, to now it's like he's earned that status. He's not overrated anymore. Even I have to eat my own words on that. And he's really has grown into this very skilled fighter. That being said, I believe that Merab is his most interesting matchup in the division. I really do. Simply because it's going to be interesting seeing how he deals with the pace, the pressure, and the wrestling of Merab. Merab, man, so I'm going to get to Merab in a second. Sean, in order for him to win this fight, he has to fight freely. What do I mean by that? I mean that he has to fight his fight. He cannot worry about the takedown. If he comes into this fight worried about the takedown, then Merab is going to wipe the floor with him. If Sean is not able to freely strike and counter to the best of his abilities, it's going to be a really tough fight for him. Because Merab, one thing about Merab that is really interesting is how big and strong he is. It's not just his cardio, it's the strength as well. He's able to do what he do to a lot of fighters simply because of his physicality, as well as his cardio and as well as his pressure. I feel like Merab really needs improvement on the defensive end. I feel like Merab, man, a lot of his strikes are really lungy, and he just kind of blitzes in and just starts throwing these wild combinations, and he overwhelms his opponent because they know the takedown is coming, and so they're kind of scared to throw back because they just think Merab is literally just going to go under for a double leg. Now, the interesting fact about this fight is going to be that Merab, he's going to have to fight Sean O'Malley different. He is not going to be able to just kind of wane towards him, throwing strikes, and then just throwing caution to the wind, all just to secure the takedown up against the fence. Because Sean has elite level footwork, and he's a good counter striker, and he has elite power at 135. Not to mention, he'll be the biggest opponent that Merab has faced in terms of length. Sean really does a good job of, one, hitting and not getting hit, obviously, and as well as his footwork. When I watched the Aljo fight back, a lot of people were complaining that Aljo did not shoot a takedown in the first round, and it's not because Aljo didn't want to. It was literally because he was so zoned out because of the footwork of Sean O'Malley. He couldn't find the right moment to shoot for a double leg or a single leg because Sean kept moving. And when Sean is on his bike, he's really hard to track down. Not to mention that Sean also utilizes his kicks very intelligently to keep his fighters at a distance. He's probably the best range fighter. He's definitely the best range fighter at 135, meaning that he's the best at controlling the distance. But he is top five or even top three best fighters in the world at controlling range. Seriously. And if you do make the mistake of lunging in, he will capitalize on that because he's also one of the best counter punchers. And like I said, that elite power at 135, he's hurt almost every single opponent he's been in there with. And that means something. That being said, one thing that really educated me on this whole striker versus grappler matchup is the fight with Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad. Now, we can all agree that Leon Edwards is the better striker, the better kickboxer than Bilal Muhammad. But, however, Bilal Muhammad outstruck Leon Edwards on the numbers. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Trippy, is it because of the wrestling? Yes, it's because of the wrestling. But it's also because Bilal was able to get into boxing range. And we already know what we know about MMA fighters, that MMA fighters, on average, aren't the best boxers. And that's interesting because Bilal Muhammad was able to get into that boxing range and outbox Leon Edwards in the pocket to the point where he was tagging Leon, even rocking him at times. And then he was able to set up his takedown more effectively. So that's important when it comes to fighting. When it comes to the striker versus grappler matchup, Sean cannot let Merab get into the pocket. He has to keep him at a distance. Because if Merab is able to successfully get into boxing range and able to fight Sean O'Malley on the inside, it's going to be literally a layup for him to set up his wrestling. Now, we saw how that Leon versus Bilal Muhammad matchup went. He absolutely dominated Leon. And the main reason was because he was able to get inside the boxing range, get inside the pocket, outbox Leon, and he was able to set up his takedowns. Because when you're in the boxing range as a wrestler, that's the golden area. Because then right there, you can literally just dive down for the waist or for the single or the double and just take them straight to the ground. And the striker will never see it coming because he's too worried about the boxing. And that leads me right into this fight because that's extremely important. That Merab is not the best boxer. I believe Bilal Muhammad is a much more disciplined boxer than Merab. Merab really, for the most part, just kind of throws haymakers in the pocket. But still, if he's able to get it in the pocket and make it an ugly fight, he's going to start tagging Sean. Then Sean is going to be worried about the hands, and then boom, that's where the wrestling will open up. And then we see how Merab fights. Merab will just rinse and repeat, try to do the same thing. But there's a flaw in that as well, you guys. We also have to talk about that. And that is Merab's physicality, like I touched on earlier, also gets confused with the way he wrestles. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that Merab isn't the best technical wrestler, meaning that he doesn't really take you down and he doesn't really control you on the ground. He kind of does what Usman does, and that's get you up against the fence, attempt takedowns, maybe get you down momentarily, but however, he does not take the back, he doesn't pass guard, he doesn't do any of that. He just gets you down momentarily, and then you're able to stand back up. And then he's able just to, with sure strength, just pull you right back down to the ground. Then you get back up. You may be able to separate, but then he's in your face already. Once again, in the boxing range. He's in the boxing range, so he's able to hit you with the hands, and then you're just looking for a moment to counter. And then whenever you're looking for the moment to counter, he's already to the next step, and he's already back at your waist and on your legs. And that's extremely important for him to win this fight. He has to get it in the pocket so that he can set up his takedowns more efficiently. Sean's not going to let him do that, though. And it is not going to be easy to do that against probably one of the best strikers in the bantamweight division, arguably the best striker in the bantamweight division. Some people still say Jan, some people still say Corey Sandhagen. And man, I don't know if either of those guys outstrike Sean, man. Because Sean has the speed and he has the power to really punish Merab for doing that. So, that being said, Sean has the footwork that will really negate a lot of what Merab is going to try to do. And what this fight is going to end up looking like is literally Dricus du Plessis versus Adesanya, where Merab is basically lunging into range with just big overhands and haymakers, trying to either catch Sean or get into that pocket to where he can land his punches or dive for that waist. And if Sean's not allowing that, it is up to Sean to capitalize on that moment when Merab leaves himself open, which he does. He does. When he explodes like that, he leaves himself open from time to time. And it's up to Sean to counter him effectively. Because I tell you what, if Sean's able to counter Merab effectively, this is going to end pretty early. I'm not going to lie. We will be able to tell how this fight is going to go by the first round. If Sean's on his bike and he's utilizing his kicks and he's looking to counter, Merab is going to have a hard time trying to get into the pocket. However, if Sean is hesitant on the feet and he's not throwing his offense and he's just letting Merab, in a way, control the tempo, then he's going to make it a much tougher fight for himself. Because if Merab is controlling the pace and the pressure of the fight, then you're fighting at his pace. Then you're going to get tired out. And then in the third or fourth or fifth round, you're going to be exhausted because you've been fighting at his pace the whole time. Even if you're not getting taken down and controlled, he's still making you fight his fight. In his fight, most people in the world cannot keep up with that kind of cardio. However, I don't see it going that way, man. I'm not going to lie. I feel like this is going to be a much more technical than people think. And it's not going to be fought at that ferocious pace that Merab typically fights at. Simply because he's able to do that to Jan, because Jan is a lot smaller and he's stronger than Jan, bigger and stronger than Jan. He was able to do that to somebody like Marlon Moraes, who doesn't have the best gas tank and is also not the same, is also smaller than he is. So he's able to do that to these guys, but not to somebody long and rangy like Sean O'Malley, man. And especially somebody who's going to punish you if you make striking errors like Merab often does. So Merab, man, he's not going to, just like Alex Pereira versus Yuri, he's not going to be able to be himself. I feel like he's really going to try. And then when he really does force the issue, he's going to start trying to force the issue. When he forces the issue, he's going to get countered. And it's up to him whether he survives that or not. And Sean, man, his power's proven at 135, man. His power's proving as well as his striking. So this fight, in summary, can go either two ways. So if Sean can fight freely and fight his fight, meaning being on his bike, moving around, using kicks such as push kicks, teep kicks, leg kick, low kicks, and high kicks to really zone out Merab and keep him at a distance towards a kickboxing match, then he's likely going to win the fight, because Merab will then start diving for takedowns from halfway across the cage. And he's going to start trying to force the action, meaning lunging in with big overhands and strikes to try and catch O'Malley off guard. And then O'Malley will be able to snipe him from range. But, man, that's completely up to O'Malley, man. If O'Malley lets Merab get into the boxing range and get into the pocket, dog, it's going to be ugly for him. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be ugly. Another big area of contention, though, is that even if Merab somehow allows it, or he somehow gets into the pocket and he's able to take Sean O'Malley down, he's probably not going to be able to control O'Malley, because based off of history, Merab has allowed every single opponent to get right back up after he's taken them down. That's just what he does. Now, separating is a different thing. It's hard to separate from him, but once he gets them there, he kind of just does this thing where he lets you back up and then he takes you back down, and it wears you out. But he's going to have to do that at the start of every single round. He's going to have to somehow try and get into that range where he's able to do that. And that's dangerous, man. That's dangerous to do every single time. Especially if Sean is, once again, fighting his fight. It's going to be really hard for him to do that. So if I'm a betting man, how do I think this fight is going to go? I really think it's not going to be fought at that pace. I really do think in the first round, Merab is going to try to lunge in and try to fight his fight. O'Malley's going to be moving around, looking to stick and counter. Merab then is going to start trying to force things to happen by just throwing overhands from a distance, just trying his best just to be able to get to the hips of Sean O'Malley. And O'Malley's just going to keep moving out the way. Then O'Malley's going to start utilizing his kicks to keep Merab at bay. And then after that, I do believe that Merab will have some success taking O'Malley down, but then O'Malley is just going to get right back up. It's up to O'Malley to whether or not he separates. If he's unable to separate, then that round is basically chalked up to Merab just taking him down, holding him up against the cage, basically pulling a Kamaru Usman. But however, if O'Malley is able to separate, then it goes right back to where it was. And when it goes right back, when it resets, the action resets, Merab has to get right back into range again and kind of fight through the danger again. And that's where I don't trust him, man. I feel like he's going to get sniped trying to do that. Not to mention, every round starts on the feet, meaning that if he has a tough time taking O'Malley down, or at least getting to the hips to take him down, he's going to have a hard time every single time he has to enter. And he's going to pay for that at one point. So I can see O'Malley by a second or third round KO. He drops Merab and then pounds him out. And although it's 50-50, man. But right now, I will lean towards O'Malley being able to snipe him and fight his fight and fight freely. But I want to know what you guys think. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out, man.